Swallowed Star 507 Mosha Clansman takes Fligh. Chapter 507 Mosha Clansman takes flight. Translator, Editor, Translation Nation. Attacking in close range, with the Mosha Clansman's speed, this special envoy had no way to defend at all. No. Envoy Yu's handsome face was struggling. Simultaneously, his domain level 9 genetic energy was fiercely permeating through the gray uniform he wore. That extremely fast and sharp blood shadow blade slashed his body, but that gray uniform slightly shook and dispersed the attack throughout his body, leaving behind a slash mark on the uniform before quickly regenerating. So, Envoy Yu quickly retreated. Beads of perspiration were dripping from his forehead, as he was terrified. Luckily I have this armor from the Undying Shrine. Envoy Yu felt as though he had just escaped death itself, as he looked with disbelief and fear at the black armored warrior in the night sky. How can he be that fast? His speed is impossible. I can't even feel it. Yes, the Mosha Clansman was indeed fast. If measured against the absolute space level, it had reached the second level's countless changes. According to that level, it was the highest level in 10,000 thread flow. Unleashing it fully could produce 10,000 images in space. And Luo Feng's Earth body could only produce up to several 100, as the 100 thread flow had a special effect, hence he usually only used 100. During battle, more images weren't necessarily better. Like teleportation, once one reaches that level, there wouldn't be any images at all. An absolute space first level arc light, second level countless changes. Even though it seemed like many images were formed when unleashed, the true goal was instantaneous explosive acceleration. Right now, the Mosha Clansman's instantaneous acceleration had already reached a terrifying level. Another level, and it'd be teleportation. Of course, this was the hardest step. One could only imagine its current acceleration was already that terrifying, much less this Envoy Yu. Even a Sector Lord warrior, his max speed could maybe exceed that of the Mosha Clansman. However, that instantaneous explosion would still pale in comparison. Unless that Sector Lord was close to the level of countless changes, or he had reached a high level of comprehension in wind or light origin laws. Interesting. Mosha Luofeng stood in mid-air, looking at the distant Envoy Yu, and was staring at his gray armor. That is a genetic armor. Genetic armor from the universe. Yes, it was genetic armor. To actually be able to disperse my attack throughout his body, and after I slit it, it recovered immediately. And with that bastard pouring genetic energy in, it obviously has raised the armor's defense. Even though Luofeng was an outsider, he was naturally clear on the armor's properties. He had the Cloud Contact Vine armor, which was even better than the genetic armor. Only thing was, he didn't dare use it. Otherwise, he would be recognized as an outsider and ganged up on by everybody. Naka's father was right. Those ancient god ruins really have items from when the Virtual Universe Company battled against the Blood River continent, having left its traces behind. And these should have been studied by the Undyings of Blood River continent, and they found out how to make a genetic armor. Obviously, their production amount is still very, very low. Luo Feng's mind thought of many things in an instant. As the thoughts crossed his mind, he immediately charged forward and once again reached that fleeing Envoy Yu's face. Too fast. Envoy Yu communicated to his partner and shouted, "Old Mo, hurry and help me." Understood. From the distance, Envoy Mo swiftly flew over. However, Mosha Luofeng had already begun his second attack. This time it wasn't casual like the first time. He was truly moving the universe space around the blade. Hence on the edge of the blade the space even warped. Mosha Luofeng stared coldly at Envoy Yu, who couldn't defend in time, and was relying solely on the genetic armor to defend. Stupid, Luofeng thought. Puchi. Like a kitchen knife slicing open a fish, the blood shadow blade was incredibly sharp this time. It immediately sliced open Envoy Yu's chest and piercing in. The blood shadow blade released energy within in all directions and Luofeng immediately discovered his life core within. Chi. The tip of the blade immediately pierced through the life core of the terrified and trying to flee Envoy Yu. The moment it touched it, the core broke and Envoy Yu stared wide-eyed. His eyes were filled with fear and disbelief. He couldn't believe that the man before him was actually able to pierce through his armor and kill him. Even more so that he'd actually dare to kill a special envoy of the Undying Shrine. This blade of mine has the feeling of slicing space. Mosha Luofeng's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. His earth body relied on the Nan Shun armament, and was unable to pass the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level. However, if the Mosha Clansman was the one doing it, it could easily unleash 10,000 thread flow. Its blade resonated with the universe space. This was enough to produce the Nan Shun armament's 5th level space slicer effect. In fact, its power was even stronger. Passing the Heavenly Bridges, 6 and even 7 was fully guaranteed. After all, this was the strongest assassin race in the universe. What? Envoy Yu, who was flying over preparing to help his friend, changed his expression. How? How can he cut through that armor with just one blade? Fligh. Envoy Yu didn't even hesitate. How can that black armored warrior be that strong? In the distant city Pure Feather Tao hid himself and his aura. While looking up, his eyes were filled with fear. The envoy he killed was pinnacle domain level. Even with the special envoy armor, he was still killed with just one slash. Pure Feather Tao stared. He's caught up. The black armored warrior has caught up. Right, Envoy Mo was fleeing in the night, and Mosha Luofeng, who had just killed Envoy Yu, placed him in his space ring and simultaneously exploded towards the fleeing man. Trying to flee? A voice entered Envoy Mo's ears. No, you cannot kill me. I'm a special envoy of the Undying Shrine. I'm a special envoy of the Undying Shrine. Envoy Mo shouted back. Undying Shrine envoy? Mosha Luofeng was shocked. Yes, I'm a special envoy of the Undying Shrine, you? Envoy Mo stared wide-eyed, because that terrifying slash appeared again. The edge of the blade that warped even space around it. Almost as though before this blade, even space could be sliced through, immediately killing Envoy Mo and breaking his life core. Mosha Luofeng waved his hand and placed his body in his storage ring, after which he looked down. Pure Feather Tao, who was secretly watching this scene, was discovered by the black armored warrior. He was immediately shocked and terrified. How did he discover me, how? Pure Feather Tao was absolutely terrified.
He didn't know. The Mosha Clansman had no soul or spirit energy. Hence the way it sensed others' energies and aura was different from flesh and blood life forms. Normal flesh and blood life forms rely on spirit energy to sense things. According to how strong the energies were, they would determine the location. The Mosha, however, was a favored child of space. It could meld with space itself, just like how a spider could feel even the tiniest vibration within its webs. Mosha Luofeng was just that. Even though that Pure Feather Tao was a domain lord who was hiding his energy, theoretically speaking no one should be able to detect him. However, Luofeng felt the ripples in space that Tao had made when he flew. Hence, he knew that the target had hidden himself after flying fast for a while. I have no ill intent. Pure Feather Tao's face went pale. You should be the elder of the Pure Feather family. Mosha Luofeng smiled in mid-air. It's unfortunate, but I require Blood River crystals now. No. Pure Feather Tao's expression changed. He immediately became a flash. His shocking speed even caused the air around to explode, the constructs about him crumbling. Mosha Luofeng shook his head. Hua! Immediately closing 10 kilometers in distance, leaving a trail of images behind and brandishing that blade, flashing once again. Just as Pure Feather Tao was trying to react fearfully, it had already pierced through his body and killed him. Following which he placed Pure Feather Tao's body in his storage ring and with a step, immediately disappeared 1,000 kilometers away. His Earth body's speed in Blood River World's conditions could travel 3,000 kilometers in a second. The Mosha Luofeng was more than 10 times faster. The commotion that happened in Swallow Mound City late at night was even noisier than broad daylight. Especially as many people squeezed in the vast walkways outside the city leader's mansion, countless eyes were looking at the mansion, where the army stood surrounding it. What happened? Who knows? I even saw a tall and terrifying lightning ball before. I saw it too. Look, the originally tallest city leader palace has been reduced to waste. We can't even see it anymore. A group of excited people in Swallow Mound City were discussing. They didn't even know. Within that night, 2 special envoys from the Undying Shrine, Swallow Mound's city leader, and the elder of the Pure Feather family were all dead. It could be said that there weren't any more domain-level warriors in Swallow Mound City. Mosha Luo Feng tore through the air and pierced through the cloud levels. It's wonderful, this feeling of melding with the universe space. When can my earth body reach such a level? Luo Feng was addicted to this. This feeling where the universe space felt extremely clear, to be able to move through the universe space ripples and feel the living beings all about. Shua! Mosha Luo Feng stopped. At this time he was already close to 1,000,000 km away from Swallow Mound City, with just that bit of work. Swap! Even though he couldn't bear to do it, using the Mosha body was after all a very dangerous thing to do, as there were large amounts of sector lords and undyings in this world. The moment he was too high profile and got noticed, everything would be over. It's better to stay low profile and use only my universe-level strength. He swapped back to his human body. Luo Feng suddenly smiled. Time to see what those envoys from the Undying Shrine and even Pure Feather Tao had on them. Just what surprise can they give me?